upside down apple French toast that makes boring old French toast blush with envy. All right, so we're gonna crack 4 eggs in here. And then we're gonna cut it with a little bit of milk. And we're gonna make a batter, almost like a custard. All right, it's gonna hit with a little bit of milk. If you wanna be really decadent, you can add some heavy cream to this. Then we're gonna hit it with a little bit of vanilla and then some cinnamon right on top. Sometimes there's enough cinnamon just right in the cap here. I think that'll be plenty. And then we're gonna hit with a little splash of good vanilla, like really pure vanilla extract right on top. And just kind of take a fork and break all the yolks. Give it a good stir. And just gotta mix all this together and make a custard out of this. And this is gonna be really good. So check it out. So we got a nice smooth batter out of all this, all right? Okay, then we're gonna take our pan here. I'm gonna crank it up. I'm gonna add a little bit of butter to our pan here because we're gonna make a caramel sauce. Absolutely delicious, okay? So we're gonna take our butter here. I'm gonna add probably half a stick. I wanna give this a little head start. All right, so the butter starts to foam a little bit. I don't wanna brown it, I just wanna melt it before I add the brown sugar, okay? Now our bread here, all right, is a loaf of day-old challah bread. Challah! It's gonna be good. We're gonna take some thick slices off of this. It's made with egg yolks, so it has a really rich flavor to it and a really gorgeous golden color. What I'm gonna do is just leave them whole like this. All right, crank this up. And then we're gonna take our bread and we're gonna soak it in our custard. All right, so take one, flip it over. I'm just gonna leave them in here for a little bit so they really, really start to soak up. So it's gonna have a texture almost like a bread pudding. All right, flip it over, flip it over. Look at that, isn't that beautiful? I make mean French toast, by the way. All right, cool. So let these guys kind of soak up all that delicious flavor. Leave them in the batter for a little bit. All right, perfect, we got that. Our butter's starting to melt down. And I've got some light brown sugar in the cabinet in here. That we're gonna pour into our melted butter and make a really rich caramel sauce out of this. Cool. And probably be out of cups. So we're talking about a half a stick of butter and probably a whole cup of light brown sugar. All right, put that right in. And just let all this start to melt down into a really lush caramel sauce. Let's start to come together. All right, so we're gonna give our caramel sauce a little stir here and let that start to break down. It's gonna be absolutely delicious. And the whole upside down apple French toast is gonna happen in this one pan. We've got a little bit of butter, a little bit of brown sugar. And what we're gonna do is just kind of stabilize it a little bit, right? I'm gonna turn the temperature off, because it's starting to smoke a little bit here, right? So we're gonna have a really delicious dark caramel sauce, which is gonna be great. I'm gonna hit it with a little bit of heavy cream, not a whole lot. It's gonna foam up just a little bit, so you wanna keep your whisk ready to go. We're gonna add a little bit of cream, and the cream just stabilizes the sauce. Check out the consistency. And to this, we got some pecans, and we've got some gorgeous dried cranberries. And what we're gonna do is take our pecan halves. Now these are untoasted because our caramel sauce is really hot, so they're actually gonna toast in the caramel. And we're gonna take the pecans and kind of hand crush them a little bit, and just kind of scatter them around. Make sure we have a nice even coat. And then we're gonna do the same thing with the cranberries. We're gonna scatter this into our caramel sauce as well. And then we're just gonna take all the apples and start to stack them up. So it starts to cool off just a little bit and get a little sludgy, because when I put the apple in, I want it to really adhere to the pan. And then we're gonna go with our apples. Now you wanna be really careful of this. This sugar is screaming hot. And just kind of stick them in, almost like Stonehenge. Now take a look at that, isn't that gorgeous? Now I'm just gonna give it a little press to make sure all the apples really kind of sink into the caramel sauce. Now this looks like a lot, but once it starts to bake, the apples are gonna start to condense, and it's gonna be one beautiful, smooth, uninterrupted layer of apple goodness. Okay, so we're gonna take our beautiful challah French toast. All right, now check out the texture. The bread itself is just like brimming with our custard here, and that's exactly what you want. And dry day-old bread will really give you that, where for super fresh bread, it's way too soft. It's really not gonna soak anything up. But dry bread is a little dehydrated. It's ready to kind of absorb all these great flavors. So this, you squeeze this, and it's just so juicy with all this kind of great texture. And we're gonna take our bread, All right, we're gonna layer it up, all right, just like this. All right, and then we're gonna do the same thing with the other side. Look at this. It's almost like a custard itself. This is really like a bread pudding in a way. All right, then what we're gonna do is we're gonna take a little bit of brown sugar and we'll put it right on top. All right, so we get a little bit of crust, all right? So a little bit of nice kind of snap on the end. So we've got a little bag of brown sugar here. I'm just gonna take some brown sugar and put it right on top, and we're gonna take this whole thing and pop it into the oven, 350 degrees, for about 40 minutes, right, until the whole thing is just bubbly and absolutely delicious. And then we flip it. It's gonna flatten out a little bit, right? And when we flip it, we're gonna have this gorgeous upside down apple French toast with cranberries and pecans. It's gonna be absolutely sensational. So in the oven, boom, that didn't take any time at all. That's rolling, okay? So it's nice and crispy on the outside. The apples are caramelized. I smell the pecans. I smell the deep, delicious caramel sauce. It's gonna be beautiful. And let it sit for just a little bit, all right, just so the caramel starts to set again, so it's not super hot, all right, and really kind of gooey. We want the caramel to really kind of set up in place. And we're gonna put this onto a plate, flip it over, all right, and she looks like $1,000,000. And they're absolutely gorgeous, nice and caramelized, really beautiful. I'm dying to go in for a piece. Isn't that fantastic? And you go in with a sharp knife, and you get a little apple pie, you get a little French toast. Everybody thinks that you're a genius in the kitchen. You can totally take all of these recipes as your own. I don't really care.